One of the things our lighting designer did was to choose blue lights to indicate mystery. It works really well in an environment like this. Now, his background was in theatrical lighting, and I understand they use blue lights to indicate mystery in theater quite often. Well, there's a blue light right here. And what he was trying to point out is there's a place you could leave the room. It's kind of mysterious. You wonder where it might lead. If you were brave enough or foolish enough, depending on your viewpoint, to bail off the trail right here and go into that passageway, you'd find out that it goes almost straight down about 50 feet. That's almost the same distance as the height of these curtains right here. It's about the height of a 5-story building. At the bottom of that 50-foot drop-off, you'd find yourself on a 100-foot precipice, ready to fall to the bottom of a 10-story tall room. It's from the bottom of that room that in the year 1963, a couple of 18-year-old boys were brave enough to climb a 100-foot clay embankment. They had slid from this room down to that passageway and all the way down the room of that 100-foot tall room. They could see the passageway and they wondered what was up here. So they climbed that embankment, got into the passageway, and continued climbing up. And sometime in 1963, they were given credit for being the first ones to explore the room that you're walking through right now. You can imagine their shock and their surprise when they looked up and saw these handrails. Started walking down the sidewalk and said, look, there's a light switch, and put that thing on. Then the tour guide started talking to them. They could have saved a lot of trouble that day with a $13 ticket. Now, honestly, there were no sidewalks. Nobody had ever been here before. If you want to see what this looked like before they put the sidewalks in here, go online to Google Books, that's books.google.com, and do a search for December 1964 Life magazine. They sent a photographer named A.Y. Owens over here with a reporter, and they did a really nice article about this discovery. This was an important discovery in the cave world, still is. A lot of people, this is on their bucket list. Take a look at those pictures in that magazine article, and you can see what this looked like before they started development. It looked much the same. They were careful not to damage it any more than what they had to.
What measures did they take to kind of keep the integrity of the cave while they built this?
They did 2 years of studies first. They decided how much of the cave they were going to develop it. It was a small percentage of a very large cave, so they thought, well, we're not going to be messing up the whole cave. They did lay out the sidewalks, and the men had to walk where the sidewalks were going to be. You couldn't just take off and walk anywhere you wanted to in here. I don't know what all the measures were, but I know there were a lot of people that were more conservation-minded than the average show cave developer. You guys can see a real nice cave bacon effect right here. These tests may not be in the least bit accurate. We just don't know. So we're not going to destroy this thing to find out maybe if we can get a number on it. We have no idea. I can tell you this though. This row of stalagmites started growing a long time ago. That one on the end is the same age as the one that reached that stalactite right there. So there's a wide variation in growth rates on these things. When people start telling you they grow about an inch every 100 years, just smile and nod, because there's no basis of science for that at all. That's something somebody made up a long time ago. That is kind of pretty, isn't it? You guys enjoying the cave today? Yes. This is where the action took place. You can see this concave wall. Connect the top of this with the concave wall on the other side. It's kind of hidden by all those pesky formations, and you are in the tube that carried water. You can see the ripple marks, the scallops they call them, underneath the cave formations that the last flow of water carved into that rock. That was a long time ago. That water's not gone. It simply has carved further down into the rock strata. 200 feet lower than you are right now, roughly, is an underground river. Not directly below your feet. All of these rocks dip to the south, southwest right here, and that stream lays a few hundred feet that direction, but 200 feet lower than you are. It's what comes out of Blanchard Springs. Have any of you guys been to Blanchard Springs yet? You need to go see that if you haven't been down there. Just don't drink the water, okay? We've got several thousand, I'm talking tens of thousands of bats that are in the cave right now, getting ready for a mating season, and then for hibernation as soon as it gets cold enough in the bottom of the cave. They require cold air to drop their body temperature. So they get into a cold air trap in the bottom of the cave where the temperatures get in between 42 and 52 degrees. And they'll hibernate as long as their bodies are cold enough. If it warms up outside in the wintertime, the bats warm up. And they go outside, build up a few more fat stores, and then go back in when it gets cold again. Last year we had nearly 500,000 bats hibernate with us. And they'll all be back soon enough. My point is that stream is their flush toilet system. So if you drink from that spring, guess what you're getting? Bat guano, yeah. I'll show you about a 9-foot tall pile of guano after a while. Formations. This stuff that we call cave popcorn nowadays, which is probably the most common cave formation ever. I see it in every cave I go into. There's 9 different theories about how that stuff forms. All of them have some valid points to them, but they never have been able to prove this stuff completely. In some cases, it just doesn't fit what they're trying to put on it. And the biologists, I think, and the microbes may play a part in the shapes of some of these crystals, like the popcorn, and these funny looking ones that look like stacks of dishes. I can see this one real well with the lighting right here. And some of them that look like cauliflower heads. They've never been able to explain a lot of those shapes, and now they're thinking that possibly the primitive life that lives down here plays a part in all this stuff. And I tell you who's really interested in this is NASA. They know that there's caves on Mars. They're eventually going to be able to build probes that are autonomous enough to go into those caves. And if they send a probe in there and it comes back out and sends back pictures of all these different colors and of all this cave popcorn and all these splatter mites and stacks of dishes and stuff like that, and they've proven that microbes play a part on Earth, everybody's going to get real excited all of a sudden about finding life on Mars. Some of that research has taken place in this cave. Lyon College over here in Batesville has done a lot of research, not just for NASA, but just for their students' sake, so they can work on some of these problems too. But there's a lot of colleges working on that too. What? That is pretty. I'll get out of the way. I've seen it before. It seems to be a two-way trip. You would come to this room, turn around and go back, and they would put tours in here every 15 minutes. So there would be multiple tours in here, and they had to have kind of like sidings to take you back. You come in the dead of winter when it's real slow, they may take you to some of these different pathways just to show you something a little bit different.
Just like that, we're back outside, Steve. Back in the sunlight.
Back from the center of the earth. Perfect picture of the cavern. Take one like this and get the height. It's so neat. Rainwater falling in the Ozarks is soaked into the ground for millions of years. As it moved through cracks in limestone bedrock, it dissolved the stone and slowly widened the cracks to form the Blanchard Springs Cavern. The water remained in the caverns until surface erosion carved valleys and allowed the water to escape. We are in such a valley now. As the valley cut deeper and deeper, lower sections of the cave were drained. New springs then developed below the older dried up springs. Perfect springs probably came out of the holes high on the bluff above us many years ago when the stream bed lay 20, 30 feet above its present level. Please go to that. Water is enriched because of the bat waste and the decaying remains of those that died. Although it does not affect the appearance of the water, it does make it unsafe to drink.
My free range human. He's free ranging.
Against the current. See them all? Like they gotta swim just to stay equal. Like just about 6 inches under the water. They look like guppies, but they're not. See them? Old boot, yeah.
It's so crystal clear. You wouldn't think it has that guano in it, huh?
Yeah, look at that picture. That's cute. Why don't you take one of them?
There's a couple of different species. You're supposed to be reflecting.
I am.
That's not what reflecting looks like.
I'm reflecting.
Oh, geez.